Have you ever noticed that there are men who don't have the most handsome face, the most toned body, or the most robust bank account? And yet, wherever they go, women look away? It's as if something invisible emanated from them, as if their mere presence created a tension in the air. You can't explain it, but you can feel it. And the most curious thing is that these men seem oblivious to their own power. They don't force it, they don't beg for attention. They provoke desire without asking for it. The truth is that there is a type of man who doesn't depend on looks, status, or luck. He depends on habits. Habits that aren't obvious, but are highly perceived by those who matter, the female unconscious. The problem? Almost no one talks about them, because these habits defy logic. They seem too simple to be powerful. But as Nietzsche would say, what is done for love is beyond good and evil. And this applies to the invisible game of attraction. It doesn't respect social rules. It doesn't bow to reason. It just happens to those who master the right codes. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the 3 most unexpected habits that awaken a type of magnetism that most men will never experience. Inhabit these 3 habits and you'll be remembered. Ignore them and you'll be forgotten. Habit 1, the man who makes her feel alive. The biggest mistake a man makes when trying to attract a woman is to believe that she is there to analyze his logic, his resume, or his sense of responsibility. He presents himself as if he were in a job interview. He talks about his profession, his job security, the car he drives, the house he bought. All of this in the same lukewarm tone as someone explaining a financial report. And then, if she rejects him or loses interest, he gets upset. But I did everything right. Yes, maybe you did everything right for a spreadsheet. But seduction is not accounting. It is chemistry. It is emotional chaos. And at the center of this chaos, there is an archetype of man who provokes a rare reaction. He makes a woman feel alive. We are not talking about someone who is loud or exaggerated. We are talking about a man who knows how to create an emotional microstorm in his presence. Who understands, perhaps instinctively, that desire is not born of reason. It is born of a change in emotional state. A woman does not need to understand why she felt good with you. She just needs to feel it. And if her emotional state changes while you are talking, you win. Most of the interactions she has during the day are lukewarm, predictable, and cold. She wakes up, goes to work, answers generic messages, listens to the same old pickup lines. Her brain is numb, until suddenly someone crosses her path and breaks the pattern. Not with a catchphrase, but with a different emotional frequency. A sparkle in the eye, a smile that comes before the words, a comment that forces her to go off script. And that's the secret of the first habit. You become naturally attractive when you learn to create positive emotional states in others. Not by flattery, but because your energy is perceived as rare. In a world where everyone speaks softly, you speak with intensity. Where everyone is predictable, you are slightly unpredictable. Where everyone is neutral, you are alive. There is an invisible logic in the human brain called positive emotional dissonance. This means, when someone makes us feel better than we did before, the brain associates that person with something valuable, and the desire to be around them increases. It doesn't matter if it was a joke, an unexpected phrase, or a simple, well-placed compliment. If you created a new emotional sensation, you gain territory in her mind. But be careful, here's the trap. Many men try to appear positive and end up appearing forced. It's not about forcing smiles or repeating self-help phrases. It's about entering each room with emotional intention. You don't go there to impress. You go to make an impact. With presence, with calibrated enthusiasm, with phrases that have a life of their own. Imagine 2 men approaching a woman. The first says, "Hi, how are you?" with that lukewarm tone of someone who doesn't even know why he's there. The second looks at her with a slight smile and says, "You have a dangerously charming vibe." Is that on purpose or an accident? What happened here? He wasn't making a joke, he wasn't vulgar. But he broke the pattern. He created a doubt. He lit an emotional spark. And that's what she'll remember. Nietzsche said that happiness is the feeling that power is growing, that a resistance has been overcome. When you are the man who transforms boredom into energy, silence into mild tension, routine into anticipation, you represent the emotional power that is missing in her life. And that is addictive. And if you still think that this is too abstract, I will tell you something practical. Before entering any place, ask yourself, what is the frequency of this environment? Silent? Apathetic? Tense? Then raise it by 10%. Just 10%. Speak more clearly. Use more vivid words. Look into someone's eyes with more presence. Make a comment that feels like a breath of fresh air in that monotony. That is the beginning. That is emotional presence. And when you master this, you will notice something curious. They will not always understand why they felt so good with you. Some will try to rationalize, others will just smile back and follow you without question. But all of them, without exception, will feel, with you, the world seems more interesting. Habit 2, challenge her constantly. And that's where it all begins. Because after making a woman feel alive, the next step is not to please. It's to challenge. And herein lies the contradiction that destroys many good men. They think the opposite of rejection is acceptance. But the true opposite of rejection is emotional response. And that's not achieved with pretty phrases. It's achieved with well-calibrated tension. Teasing isn't insulting. It's challenging with charm. It's touching that fine line between emotional security and mild discomfort. It's insinuating that she's not as predictable as she thinks she is. And above all, it's signaling that you're not there to submit. You're there to play with the fire of interaction, with elegance but without fear of burning. Men who don't understand this become predictable. They repeat the same compliments, the same smile, the same unconditional approval. They think this makes them more acceptable. But what actually happens is the opposite. They disappear. Because the human mind values what challenges. And if you don't impose tension, you're just another one. There is a primitive logic that operates beneath feminine rationality. Attraction is born from mystery, from doubt, from the slight discomfort of wanting to understand who is in front of you. If you compliment her like everyone else, she sees you as everyone else. But if you say, there's something about you that makes me doubt my inner peace, I haven't decided yet if that's good or bad, you've created a magnetic field. She'll laugh, she'll question you, she'll test you, and that's when the dance begins. But there's an art to it. And like all art, it requires precision. The right provocation is like a rare seasoning. A pinch changes the dish, too much ruins the recipe. So here's the code. Provocation that seduces doesn't attack who she is, but challenges the social label she carries. Does she say she's an actress? Wow, how rare a vegan actress with lactose intolerance is. Very authentic. Does she talk about astrology? Scorpio? Oh, so you already know it's your fault. She says she hates cliches? And you're telling me that? On a date. Intentional irony? This structure creates an immediate reaction. She tries to justify herself, differentiate herself, prove something to you. And at that exact moment, the dynamic changes. Now she wants to be validated by you. Now she invests. Nietzsche also said, the will to power is stronger than the will to survive. In the field of seduction, this manifests itself when she feels she needs to gain your validation, even without understanding why. And this doesn't happen by force. It happens because you have the rare courage to provoke. And here's another master key. Elegant provocation is a dance between vulnerability and boldness. You play with her, but you also play with yourself. When you provoke yourself, make fun of yourself, laugh at your own exaggerations, she understands that nothing there is a threat. It's all a creative game, a game that activates the most secret side of her mind, the side that wants to safely lose control. If you say, I bet you're the type of person who mentally judges everyone in 30 seconds, like right now, with a slight smile, you're proposing a challenge. But if you then call yourself a social disaster with impulsive tendencies, you level the playing field. You're not on top, you're playing on an equal footing. And that's irresistible. The problem? Most people are afraid to provoke. They're afraid of being misunderstood. And that's why they live like extras in their own movie. They hide behind neutrality so they don't make a mistake. And they forget that neutrality isn't protection. It's invisibility. A well-done provocation requires emotional courage. The courage to deal with a look of surprise, with a wow, you're cheeky, with the silence between the sentence and the smile that comes after. Because in that silence, desire lives. And if you want a rule of thumb to start with, here it is. Use absurd assumptions. They're like harmless emotional bombs. "You have a tattoo? So you hate your mother, huh?" said with a straight face and a strategic pause. Or, "You look like someone who's run away from home for fun. Fool me if I'm right." These phrases don't make sense, but they make you laugh. And more importantly, they test your limits. Another powerful strategy is to flip the script. She says something common, treat it as if it's a secret revealed. "Seriously, you do yoga? Wow, no one has ever told me that on a first date." Here, gentle sarcasm generates immediate self-analysis. And when she tries to prove she's different, you've already won. Provocation creates a narrative, and women connect with stories, not data. When you position yourself as a character who challenges her in a lighthearted way, you become a chapter she wants to reread. And then, as in every good story, she starts to ask herself, why do I want him to like me so much? What is it about him that throws me off balance? And that's where provocation fulfills its purpose. Not to prove that you're better, but to show that you're rare. That you're not there to please, you're there to awaken. And this awakening, when provoked in the right way, is the beginning of obsession. And when desire is awakened, the next test is silent and relentless. Habit 3, have charismatic coherence. She begins to observe. Not what you say to her, but how you interact with the world. How you treat the waiter, how you react to a compliment, how you behave with other women. At this point, the third habit is born. Charismatic coherence. Flirting with the world. Most men are selective. They make an effort, transform themselves, surpass themselves, but only when there is a beautiful woman in play. Otherwise, they return to apathy. They are friendly when interested. They are alive when trying. And they are invisible in everything else. The problem? Women notice this. They are trained to decode incoherence. When you treat others coldly and treat her with intensity, she does not feel special. She feels like she is being manipulated. The truly magnetic man does not turn on seduction when he sees a woman. He lives on this frequency. He flirts with the world as if he were breathing. Not with ulterior motives, but with the conviction that his energy must touch any room he steps into. He doesn't differentiate between a stunning woman and a lady at the market. He distributes presence, provocative kindness, subtle charm, not by strategy, but by identity. And here's the beauty of it. The more women realize that you are like this with everyone, the more they want to be the exception. They want to be the moment when you stop, when you change your tone, when you truly give yourself. And that's what drives them crazy. Because the female mind doesn't just want approval, it wants conquest. And you become a conquest when you flirt with everyone, but only connect with a few. Plato said that love begins with beauty, but only sustains itself in virtue. Your virtue here is constancy. Being magnetic with everyone doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It creates a coherent image, a stable identity, a presence that doesn't change according to convenience. And there's more. This habit drastically reduces your social anxiety. Do you know why? Because you're already turned on. You're already warmed up. You're already playing before the match even starts. When you see an interesting woman, you don't need to change anything. You're already in the flow. You're already involved with the environment, with the barista, with your colleagues, with the scenery. She enters your reality, not the other way around. And this point is vital. Women fall in love with worlds, not with speeches. When you flirt with the world, you show that you have your own universe, full of nuances, humor, lightness, and boldness. She's not just getting to know a man, she's being sucked into an atmosphere. This habit also protects you, because when you're seductive only with those you want, you show neediness. But when you're seductive by nature, you transmit emotional abundance. And abundance is the greatest aphrodisiac there is. Now, don't confuse flirting with vulgarity. Flirting with the world is smiling at the doorman, teasing the taxi driver, playing with the child next to you. It's leaving traces of presence wherever you go. It's being the person who transforms the energy of any place. It's seducing existence. And yes, there is a risk. You will be misunderstood by some, you will bother the neutrals, you will attract looks you didn't want. But that's the currency of magnetism. Those who emit, bother. Only those who are invisible don't run risks. And let's face it, being invisible has never been a good strategy. The woman who observes you will notice all of this. She will see that you have something rare, You don't need her to activate your best state. You are already like that. And this raises a question that she won't be able to ignore. If he treats everyone with such ease, what will it be like if he is really interested in me? This doubt, this expectation, this emotional mystery is what creates the obsession. Not for what you have, but for who you are, even when you are not trying to impress. And when this type of man approaches, she feels it. Because he is not playing the game. He is the game. You don't need rehearsed phrases, designer clothes, or quick results. You need to be alive. Be that man who walks into a place and changes the frequency, who turns boredom into laughter, who provokes without hurting, who flirts without interest, because he already exudes value. In the end, the man who attracts is not the most handsome, nor the richest. He is the most emotionally interesting. If you master these 3 habits, creating emotional states, provoking intelligently, and flirting with the world, you will not only attract women, you will change your entire social reality. People will remember you, want to be around you, ask who you are. And when this happens, conquest becomes a consequence.